Okay, so I'm screen recording right now. I think this is working, and I'm just gonna treat it like it's working. I want to establish first, I am not a YouTuber. I don't make content for a living, and I don't know how to make this entertaining. But I needed to make a video to be able to show you what I was talking about. I'm typing in this chat, and I'm putting in these tiny, donations, and like, you realize like the system actually. I kind of want to go on a tangent here. If I think I'm allowed, that was kind of fucked. The amount that you could type was directly proportionate with the amount that you would donate. So if I wanted to be able to put 250 characters, I'd have to specifically donate $10. But 150 characters was allowed with $5, and with $2 is only allowed with 50 characters. And to establish the fact I had to donate, because you wouldn't read any of my comments that weren't donated, and I needed you to hear this. I know that this is silly. I'm going to establish that right away. I'm not going to say it's not silly. I know it's silly. And that's almost why I think it's funny for you to hear it. You know what I mean? I'm joking. I know that this isn't, make or break. The world isn't ending on butter, right? I know that. I'm not like coming from a crazy perspective, but what I'm trying to show you that in a micro sense, your content can get used to support causes that you're not supporting, right? That's what I'm trying to show you, right? That even though as the creator of a content, you could have a certain vision and a certain idea for how people are going to hear you, right? And sure, I can hear you. I know that the FDA had a right to recall that butter, right? I know that you know that. And I know that most Americans, maybe not even most, I can't even say most, that almost every single person on the fucking planet knows that milk is in butter, okay? You fucking know that. So this is why I'm kind of upset with what you did, because you were man, I'm going to react to your video here. I'm genuinely going to show you the parts of your video that I think are not good. I'm going to try to show you exactly the point where I think that you're going wrong, where you're losing your way, and how you're talking about these topics. Right?
This is an emergency. There is no time to waste. No time for dilly-daddle. Go check your butter right now if you've purchased it from Costco recently.
Bam. 10 seconds in, I know you need to pull people in with a YouTube statement, but we're just going to compile these things of what you making something a bigger deal than it is. And I know you're joking, but you've already started the video 10 seconds in, and you already can tell you're up in arms about something. You know what I mean? I can tell that you're upset about this. You have a certain way that you feel about this that, is in your crawl. You know what I mean? This annoys you. I can tell when I watched this that this annoyed you.
There is a chance that your life is at risk.
Inflammatory statement, right?
If you're watching this, then I'm already dead.
It's a joke, but it's an inflammatory statement.
80,000 pounds of defective, dangerous butter has been recalled from Costco in an effort to save as many lives as possible in the wake of this catastrophe.
But I know that you lampshade this joke because you say how, in all seriousness, right?
To the consumer, that butter.
This is what I want to show. In any of this, where does it say anything about lawsuits, dude? That you keep bringing up lawsuits, and really that's my question. That's what I want to know, where you're getting it from. That's what I think is propaganda. Where do you think that the FDA has anything to do with lawsuits with Kirkland? If Kirkland's going to get sued because they didn't put these labels in, it's not going to have anything to do with the FDA. Yes, it's an FDA regulation to have labels so that if they get sued, it would be suing them because they're not following FDA regulation, right? But when the FDA recalls a product, it doesn't have anything to do with the fucking, with the lawsuits, bro. It really doesn't. Let's keep going.
Contains milk. And because of this, so many American lives have been put in jeopardy. Because how are they supposed to know that butter
so
contains milk if it's not
all of this is building this up to be a bigger topic than it is, right?
Pounds. The FDA is doing their best to save us from this unlabeled butter.
You're discrediting the FDA here. You're making it seem like the FDA is being silly. And look at that. You just said the stupidest fucking people on the planet. You're already putting out there this message that there's this person that you're making up. You're making up a person. That's another thing that I need to establish here. You're making up someone that you do not know is real. And it's funny because if that person was real, it'd be funny. But that's what I'm establishing. You're making up someone right now.
Here from the unlabeled butter villain.
Yes, it's ridiculous that we're talking about this. It is ridiculous.
Who was dropped dead from it, they probably weren't going to make it much longer anyway if they were too stupid to fucking realize that
you're going in more about a person you made up. You're so annoyed about a person that you literally do not know is real.
There's no reason to sugarcoat it. They weren't going to last long in the first
place.
place.
You're still going in on someone that you don't know is real.
For not knowing
still going in on someone being stupid.
Or toddlers, like actual 6-year-olds.
Really, you're just putting an imaginary person down. Someone that you don't know is real, you're putting down.
Every adult should know this by now. But I feel like we're reaching a point where there's people that unironically believe that chocolate milk comes from cows. So I guess I should
now you're bringing your fake reality, right? Your fake person that you just invented. You're bringing that to a more real sense, a more grounded. You're saying, okay, I know that, I'm having fun, but I genuinely think this other crazy thing that people don't think. You continuously poke the idea of how stupid we are. And that's what I'm talking about. Let's keep going.
Surprised as I am, but when I saw this headline, I was stunned.
Stunned. Why were you stunned?
I thought it had to.
How is this stunning to you? A government agency holding a $1 billion company responsible for not following FDA regulation and getting their product recalled. Nothing about that's stunning. It's not surprising. It's not shocking. I wasn't flabbergasted. I said, okay, good. This is what I mean when I say I'm confused. Like, this is it.
Oh. We're in Scotland right now.
Headline, I was stunned. Absolutely stunned. I thought it was fake. I thought it had to be. But no, it's real. The FDA has recalled 79,200 pounds of Costco butter due to the undeclared allergen. The allergen being milk. Now, to bring us back down
this is where I really like where you go in this video. This take is 100% right. You know the real right take.
Not knowing that butter contains milk. I do think there is something good here where we have strict labeling protocol and rules around labeling
all of the real right
super
takes.
Important. It's a life and death in some cases. If you don't have strict protocol in place for labeling, you'll end up with
here it is. You stumbled onto the exact right take to have.
That looks like it's AI generated from Cleverbot, right? The ingredients need to be accurate. People need to know what's in the product.
Exactly.
Because there could
it's
be
not that silly.
That cause them harm.
You know it's not that silly.
Really do matter.
This is when I get confused.
You need to have these labels be accurate, and in this case, it wasn't.
It
didn't say contains milk.
So you know it.
Needed to,
you 100% know it. You know that this was the right thing to do.
So they recalled it in order to get the label perfected. So that way everything is accurate. So that is good, but it's still extremely sad.
Here you go.
That butter even needs that in the first place.
Now you're going off the rails.
Butter has milk. It's embarrassing that this was viewed as an emergency that needed a.
Here you go. Bam. You lost me. Who's saying it's an emergency? Just because something's getting recalled doesn't mean it's an emergency. It means they didn't follow the rules. You're labeling this as an emergency. You're labeling it as something important. It's not important. I'm sure that there's government recalls that happen all the time. I bought a Tesla. That's a car that has so many recalls on it that they don't get talked about, and I still bought it. I bought a car that has recalls actively on it. It's just a fact. Items get recalled. That's something that happens. This wasn't an emergency. This wasn't something they were, that's what I mean when you're beating into propaganda, because you're hyperbolically saying, this emergency. And I know you're being funny. I know that. But that's my point.
Big recall, so that way the butter could have the contains milk label on it. That is something that I don't even think needs to be present in the first place. People should know butter has milk. It's just...
Here's the thing, right? It's where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line at too simple? Where do you draw the line at, okay, that's common sense, everyone should know it, right? peanut butter has peanuts. It shouldn't need to say peanuts on it. All of the, it's everything, right? There's so many foods out there that are simple enough that we should know the ingredients without even seeing them on there. But where do you draw the line? Where is that? It's not as simple as you're making it seem, that, you either know it or you don't. That's not that simple, okay? But what you're saying is because butter is probably one of the more extreme cases, because the ingredients are so simple and the way to make it is so simple, that it's really, really hard to believe someone wouldn't know that there's milk in butter, right? It's really hard to believe that, and you're right. But the thing is, where do you draw the line at too simple? Where do you draw the line at that's a food that shouldn't even need to be explained? It's not that easy to find that line. And then why? Why not just have everything be defined? It's not that hard to put a label. It's not.
Unnecessary. But since it's been standard protocol in the labeling for so long that butter has the contains milk label, I suppose it can be viewed as a positive thing that they're taking it seriously enough to recall it, to put it back on.
Is recalling nearly
right? Sure.
80,000
You ran
pounds
into
of
the real take, right? You ran into it. You ran into the real take that it's probably a good thing that it's being recalled, right? But then you come why are you mad at people? You have this annoyance with this imaginary dumb person that you made up. That's the fundamental thing I don't understand, why when you heard this story, that was what popped into your head. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Because of an undeclared allergen. The butter was sold in stores across Texas.
This is a clip from a local news network, right? We all know that this stuff is bullshit. Everyone knows it, but
Apparently,
whatever.
The company did not list milk as an ingredient, which could lead some people to think it's dairy-free. If you do not have an allergy to dairy, it is okay to use, but if you are allergic, you need to toss it out and contact Costco for a refund.
And then once you finish that, promptly...
It's not about the fact that anyone would actually fall for it. It's the fact that they should still listen. It's the fact that the government, these companies make so much money, and they treat people so badly, and the regulations on them are so simple that when they don't follow it, it's so disrespectful. And you know the reason, right? If you actually wanted to be and talk about this topic in an educated way and actually dig deep into it, you know the reason that these labels probably aren't on there? To me, I see it as one of two options, right? The first option is because they're underpaying and overworking their employees that lead them to make into simple mistakes because they do not give a fuck about the company they're working at because they're overpaid and underworked, or they're underpaid and overworked, right? That's the first option, probably the more realistic option. The second option is because these billion-dollar companies are seeing that there's infringements on the process of relegating food in our government, that they're taking, baby steps. They're saying, hey, let's test it out. Let's see if we put butter out there and don't put that there's milk on it if anyone says anything, right? Let's see how far we can get. Let's test that boundary. Let's see, let's see if that slips by. And you know what? It didn't. And that's good. It's good that it didn't slip by. This is a win. That's what I don't understand. I'm happy to see this. I'm happy to see a billion-dollar company get held responsible for a mistake they made just like anyone else would be. That's a good thing. But you're so caught up in the minutia of the fact that it's not, you shouldn't fall for it. You shouldn't have been tricked. You shouldn't have, you should just know that milk's in butter. You should know it. So you shouldn't be tricked. Well, who burdens it goes to say, who holds the burden of a recall? Who's that fault of it? Who holds fault? Is it a consumer's fault that the government needed to recall an item? Or is it the company's fault for not following regulation? You're blaming people. That's my point. Let's keep going.
Contact your local education center for a
There you
refund
go.
on all the wasted years you spent.
What
in
an
class,
inflammatory
because clearly
take
did
about
you
someone that
good,
you don't know it
bumbling
exists.
imbecile, and then go check yourself into Arkham Asylum because you
You're
are
so worked
insane
up about someone
for
that
not
you
being able to
literally
recognize
don't know it
that
exists.
Butter has milk.
Yes,
The only time
everyone
you'll ever
knows.
find
We all know.
Dairy-free butter is when it is labeled
We all know.
dairy-free butter, is some kind of like vegan alternative. That is plastered all on the branding. There's
Dude.
never going to be a time where you see just normal butter
Dude.
somehow not have milk in it. It's
We get
impossible.
it. We know.
I can't even imagine
We
a
know.
hopeless world where some consumer is so mindless.
That's
and
because
just
it isn't
such a
real.
fucking drone.
You know
that
why
they
you
go
can't
to the
imagine it?
supermarket,
Because
pick
it
up butter,
actually
an item
isn't
they've been
real.
familiar with their whole life, look it up and down and notice that it doesn't say it contains milk. So all
Yep.
of a sudden, they
You know why it's so
believe
hard to
it doesn't
imagine?
have
You know
milk.
why you're having
And then
such
they
a
go
hard
home
time
and die, and it
picturing
turns
that
out they're
person,
allergic.
and it
Like this.
it has such a conflicting
What-
view with your
What
worldview
kind of-
because
what
it
kind of place
literally
is this? The
isn't
recalled products, which were
real.
both produced and distributed in Texas, include 1,300 cases of unsalted sweet cream butter and 900 cases of Kirkland Signature salted sweet cream butter. So none of the butter was safe because all of it was missing the crucial.
What a
contains
hyperbolic
milk
statement! Like, way to
label on
talk
the
about
butter.
this. Like, you're being so
The products all
inflammatory.
come with Best By dates
All this
between
was a
February
company
22nd,
getting held
2025
responsible for
and
not
March
following
29th,
regulations. It wasn't a big
2025.
story.
Sleep in
It was
fear.
goofy.
If you've had
It
Costco
was
butter
silly.
sitting in your fridge recently,
Nobody's
you might be
saying
harboring
this.
a fugitive.
Nobody's saying
You need
this.
to check right now. or
I
else you'll
know
be
you're
tossing and
being
turning
funny,
all
but
night
no
wondering,
one's saying this.
do I have one of the violative products in my fridge right now?
See, you're
And the
undermining
trading card
the
community
actions the
disproves
government
our
did to
worth
hold a
tons
billion-dollar
of money.
company in check
But in the real
because
world, when it comes to real
you
products,
think that it's silly.
mistakes cost people lives.
Just because it's silly
You
doesn't
are
mean it
not
shouldn't
safe.
happen.
If you have any Costco butter, please proceed with the utmost caution. I would recommend
Such an
perhaps
inflammatory
dressing in a
statement, you
hazmat
know what I
suit
mean? It's
before
so
handling
like
your Costco
hyperbolic
butter
to
as
make you
investigate
feel
the Best Buy
some
date
type of way
and
about
try
it, some
and locate
type of
whether or not it
person.
says contains milk.
Whoever the dumb,
Vital
you know what I mean? All
allergen.
this does when you talk about the dumbest people in America and how they lead and they ruin the country, all this does is invite someone in your comment section to think of who they think is dumb and put that on them. All that's doing. You have to understand what this does, right? When you say, oh my God, the dumb Americans that fell for it again, that people go in your comment sections and they picture the dumbest person they can think of, and now that dumbest person is holding the responsibility of not knowing that milk is in butter. When no one is saying that. It's not real, it's not true, and that's the point. Why are you talking about an imaginary person as if it's 100% a fact?
Information for your butter. I love how they're displaying the Costco butter here in the articles, by the way. It looks like the wanted posters from One Piece. Like, they got the butter up there like there's a bounty for it, like a reward. And I guess there kind of is. You could easily just get some free money from Costco if you have some of this faulty
No, you
butter.
can't.
You can just say, like,
You
oh,
know why you can't? Because there was a government recall. So now if you try and put a lawsuit out together, they would say, hey buddy, this product was recalled, so you can't sue us about it. We told you. We said, hey buddy, hey, the milk, we said it doesn't have milk in it, so you can't sue us. The FDA is protecting the butter industry from a potential lawsuit by recalling the item. That's how this works. Not the other way around. Let's keep going.
I didn't know that butter contained milk, and they'll give you a refund, I guess. So, I mean, that's kind of a little free money glitch there if you want to use that. But
Ugh.
I will say, if there's anyone that genuinely bought this butter thinking that somehow it didn't have
Nope.
milk, you need to be put on a list for
Here we go.
dangerously stupid people. I know.
Now you're saying that these made up people that aren't real should get put on a list. What? Like what? Who? Like what does that even mean? These fake dumb people. Again. It's just, I have to reiterate that over and over again because that's my problem with it. If there was an established group of people that were pushing the forward, that were saying, hey, we were tricked and it's not our fault, then I would point and laugh at them with you too. But you don't have that. You have an imagined person that's saying that. That isn't true though.
Said that a few times, and I'm only half kidding, honestly. I do feel like there actually is a
See?
level where someone is so dumb that it is detrimental to the people around them and could actually just be dangerous. And I think this would be
is
like a
crazy.
perfect way of
There
identifying
isn't
those
someone
kind
like
of
this.
threats. Absolute fucking morons.
There are
that
not people like
outraged.
this.
Like, how how could you have let this product slip through the cracks without the contains milk allergen information? You almost murdered my whole family.
Nobody's
with this.
saying this,
Like,
bro.
if there's anyone out there like
Nobody's saying
that
this.
is someone that needs to be monitored because they are so fucking stupid that it is.
Are you saying I'm dumb, bro, by the way? Are you saying because I think that companies should be held responsible for responsible labeling because it's not that fucking hard to follow? Are you implying that that's stupid? Because if so, that's a terrible take. And to say that you don't understand how this is anti-worker is fucking baffling. Jesus Christ.
Going to be a problem soon, if not already. Now they're taking this pretty seriously, from what I can tell.
Yep.
And normally,
Sure,
there'd be something
sure they
to
are.
be happy about that they're being, like as
Normally,
diligent
but
on
when
it
you
as they
invent
can.
dumb
Like,
people to be
recently
mad
with the
about, you can be
listeria
mad about
outbreak
anything.
from Boar's Head and all that. Like, that's something extremely serious. That's an emergency that needed to be taken seriously. This is a fucking joke. This is embarrassing.
Oh,
is
sure
what
it is. Yeah, it's
That
embarrassment
an
because you
all-hands-on-deck
decided
red
it
alert
is.
situation
You
because
decided.
Butter went out there without the.
You decided that this situation is so silly that it wasn't worth interfering in. So when I asked you and I said, do you think it deserved to be recalled? And you said yes, why are you lying? Because clearly if you thought it deserved to be recalled, then what are you upset about? That's what I want to know. Who are you mad at? Why are you like inventing this fake person to be mad at? Like, that's what I don't get, man. You're treating me like I'm crazy because I think it's crazy that you're complaining about a fake person? What?
Contains milk label slapped on it because they must think every American is so fucking stupid that if it's not posted on the label, they
Nope.
might be liable for a lawsuit because someone might be dumb enough to think that somehow this
Nope.
butter was in the clear and they'd be allergic to milk and die from it.
Nope.
Like that. Do you know how sad that is? Do you know how?
That's not fucking true. That right there is propaganda. They're not saying that the government isn't saying that they think that we're so dumb that we needed the it contains milk label. They're saying that billion-dollar company can't skip that step. That they're saying that it's not that hard to follow the fucking rules. So we're gonna make you follow the rules. And if you don't, then we're gonna fucking recall your shit. And we're gonna make you pull that back. Because you have to play by the fucking rules just like anyone else. When you get a ticket, you have to pay it, right? So when they lie by not putting a contains milk label, it's a fucking lie. Because we've established that the regulations are set that if your item contains fucking milk, you have to put a contains milk label. So when they don't put it, it's a lie. They're insinuating that they're putting a product out for sale that isn't there, right? That's the government's point of view. That's why it's getting recalled. That's why this is happening. It has nothing to do with people not knowing that there's milk in fucking butter. You're the lobotomite. You're the fucking idiot. You're the brain dead, fucking loser that can't get their mind so out of the culture fest. You're so caught up in the culture that there's these dumb people out there and they're making these dumb decisions and they're so dumb and they're dumbing up the works that you can't get your head out of your fucking ass and see that that's not what happened here.
Fucking sad that is.
Yeah, it's so
The
sad
FDA has
that you
not put
invented
out
someone.
information on what to do if you have purchased these recalled items, nor has it
You know
shared
what?
their
You know what's
opinion.
funny about what the FDA's information on if you purchased it? They didn't have any fucking information because that's not what it was fucking about. Look, the FDA has not put out information on what to do if you have purchased these recalled items. You know why? Because that's not what they're worried about. They're not worried about people buying the butter. They're worried about the company not putting the fucking label.
Illness or adverse reactions from consuming the product, the usual course of action is to either discard them or return them to your place of purchase just in case. So yeah, anyway, that's the big Costco butter breakdown.
Sure.
That's about it. So yeah.
Okay. Just to finish this off, right? I know it's silly. I know that it's a joke. I know that this is goofy and weird, and the idea that there was a butter like recall because it didn't say it had milk sounds goofy, right? Because everyone should know that that butter has milk. But the point is on when is your line on how simple a product is and what ingredients it should have to have. Where are you drawing it? Sure, you want to put legislation forward that says that butter doesn't need to have the milk on the label, then, go ahead and argue it. Put that forth and make that your statement. But for as long as the government stance is that these companies have to regulate, have to put on their labels their ingredients they have, then they bear the responsibility to put on that their butter has fucking milk. And when they don't do it, they deserve to get recalled, because that's what happens when you make mistakes. You face consequences just like anyone else. This is why I'm angry about it, by the way. Like, what you're doing when you're saying that people are so dumb that they don't know that milk is in butter is that you're lowering the American intelligence system to a degree that, like, how could I have faith in society to do anything if there's people that are so dumb they don't know milk is in butter? And to get into politics and how I stand on things, is the left-wing policies don't work when you assume people are dumb. Left-wing economic policies do not work when you assume that we're dealing with a dumb populace. But if you assume that people have a similar intelligence to you, because remember, we're taught not to put ourselves over anyone else, right? I don't think I'm better than anybody. So my level of intelligence, I don't think is on a superior ability to anyone that I have not met, right? That's my perspective. So when our policies, our way of looking at things need to be, we need to talk about how smart we are, how amazing we are, how many amazing people are out there, how many smart people, how many impressive people, right, are in America. We're not just the value of our lowest parts, we're also the value of our best parts. We are smart. There are really, really smart people here. And when you take a message and you spread a message talking about how dumb everyone is, it makes us lose faith in what we can accomplish. And when we lose faith in what we can accomplish, it promotes people that would work against our interests. I really, really, really hope that I can get you to watch this, because I truly, truly think you would get it. I know you would get it because you're reasonable, because you understand it. You know why. I like that, on the internet, you can have this issue and you can talk about it in any way that you want. You're not beholden to anyone else. You're not beholden to anyone putting a quota or an opinion. You can say exactly how you feel. But sometimes I would recommend to you to say maybe not just how you feel, but maybe what's right. Sure, I agree. Everyone should know that milk is in butter. But the reality of the situation is it's not that simple. And as long as the government policy says that they need to say that there's milk in it, then that's the rules. It's not about lawsuits. It's not about people, being so dumb and so clueless that they're dangerous. That's not what any of this is about. So that's what I mean, when I'm saying that you're buying into the propaganda. Because you're saying that it's about something it isn't. You're taking a story that should be celebrated as a billion-dollar company getting held responsible, for what they did, and you're turning it into a story about how dumb everyone is. Why? Why are you doing that? I love your content. I have a lot of hope for what you can do and how you cover stories, because you come from a common sense perspective. And common sense is how we save the world. But common sense is it's a trap sometimes, because your common sense tells you that people, know milk is in butter. So when the government has a recall on butter that says that it's because they didn't put a label that there's milk in it, you blame them on thinking that you're stupid. They know you're not dumb. They didn't put forth any sort of plan for people with butter because they know it didn't affect them. But what it was a billion-dollar corporation not following the rules, and they got held responsible. That's what this is about. Please keep making content and keeping people informed on common sense. And I'll keep watching and I'll keep liking. I'm a big fan. I really am. I like how you cover stories. I like a common sense perspective. And, I like your content. So This isn't from someone coming from someone that doesn't like you. I like your content. I like what you do. I just genuinely think you could have done a better job in this case scenario. Coming from a more grounded perspective and a more, let's look at how this affects everyone, not just a supposed fringe 1% people that are so dumb. You know what I mean? And just stop talking about fake people. You're making up a fake person when you talk about them being that dumb. And, I can play those games too. We can all play those games about, oh my God, how dumb would you have to be to think this? And the answer is that everything's just not that simple. Life's pretty complicated. And we have to have more thoughtful discussions about these kind of things. We have to. All right.